we're 100% live. Oh, you know what? Since we are 100% live, let's just change a few things here. This I'm just going to set over here. Over here. There you go. Boom.
Boom.
Boom. All right. Screwing that up just a little bit. But here we have, I'm just deciding to go live. I go live every once in a while. And I am going live from my laptop. If a game does get going here at the Madhouse, I'll hop on and then we'll be on a 4-minute delay. But right now, we are not on a delay whatsoever. So I'm going to bear with us. Stay with me for a minute. We're going to start a song in the background. And then Shawn and I are going to have a conversation. By the way, none of this was planned. We literally were just outside having a smoke, just talking about poker. And then I was like, look, it looks like a game might be going off. I said, so you want to just go live stream? And he's like, sure. And then I'm like, why don't we just do pure live? Obviously, we're not going to show poker here live. Oh, can you turn off that light behind there? It's giving a weird...
Did you have the door open or closed?
Just leave it open. But in any case, so yeah, it is Friday afternoon, and I hope I do have the audio correct. Yes, we do. So we're open to any questions whatsoever. I do have to get the YouTube page open. Just give me a second so I can see any questions you guys might have live. But Shawn, what's the hottest run you've been on? Do you remember what your hottest run was? Again, we didn't have any of this planned. He's like, I have no idea what I'm going to talk about. And I was just like, screw it. Let's I'm just going to put you on the spot.
Probably when I first started playing poker, I was about 6 months in. I had gone out to Vegas. I had a couple $1,000. I lost about 1,000 of it just playing cash games, 2-5 at the Bellagio, just getting wrecked all night long, and couldn't make a hand.
Couldn't make a hand at all?
Nothing. I mean, yeah, like, lost all the races. Like, I don't know, I played like shit back then. I just played super tight, so who knows how I just didn't make a hand and didn't get paid off on nothing, and... yeah.
I'm going to turn the microphone up here. Ooh.
All right.
Dog is barking. Testing.
I take my second 1,000 and I go over to a craps table. And it's like, I don't even know, like 2, 3 in the morning. I go over to the craps table and I get on a roll. I'm at the table by myself. I end up running like... I bought him for $200, ran it up to about $3,000.
And that was when you first started playing poker?
Yeah.
Oh, God. Yeah. I remember when I first... I moved to St. Louis, which is where I first started grinding. And I moved down there with a company, and I was there a week early before I had to go to work. And this is right when everybody was playing 1-2 no limit. Like all the games went from limit to no limit.
Yep.
And I'll never forget my first session. I sat down and I made like $1,800. And but boy, I probably missed out on $3,000 worth of opportunity. Yep. People were betting like, $75 on the river, and I'd have like the Stone Cold Nuts, and I'd just make it like $150.
Yep.
Just min clicking it back because I was so used to playing limit tournament. And you said you used to grind 3-6 and 4-8?
I did.
I used to do 4-8 and then 6-12. And then mine was 15-30.
I never had a losing session in 6 months.
That's impressive.
It was that easy back then. Everybody played every hand. You just played super tight. You played your pocket pairs, your suited aces, your big cards, and just played according to how the runouts were. You knew when somebody had the nuts. It was obvious.
So Kurt has a question. He says, please explain how to calculate equity. Is it the same in PLO as no limit? Thanks. So there's a short answer and a long answer. It is generally the same equity. The difference is you have 4 cards instead of 2 cards. So like the actual mathematical equation, when you know, pardon me, when you know 7 cards out of the deck versus 5 cards out of the deck, you calculate it slightly differently. So for example, if you have a straight and a flush draw, okay, something that's pretty common in pot limit Omaha, you know, say the flop is 10 jack deuce with 2 spades and you have an ace queen with nut spades, because you know your other 2 cards are not a spade, for example, they're like a 3 and a 7, you know that instead of taking 13 outs into 47 possibilities, you're taking 13 outs into 45 possibilities, if that makes sense, because you know what 2 other cards are in the deck. And then depending on your opponent,
it's still pretty much the same.
It's pretty much the same. Like
it's
you do get, I mean, you do end up getting it's like 2.2% more on draws, so or somewhere around there. Don't quote me exactly on that, but I think it's around 2%, 2.5%, somewhere around there.
If you're looking for an easy way to calculate your equity, you count your outs and multiply it by 2 per street. So if you have 4 outs and you have 2 to go, you'd multiply it by 4, so you have 8%. That would be on like a gut shot or something.
Well, 4 outs times 4, 8% per street, yeah. Or 16% if you get it all in.
No.
Yeah, 4 outs on the flop. You multiply it by 4 if you're all in all the way through. Multiply it by 2% per street or 4% total.
Right, so 4 times 2 is 8.
That would be per street.
No.
Yeah.
That's figuring in all the streets.
Okay. Maybe we're not talking about the same thing, but if you have 4 outs on the flop, you have a 16% chance of getting there. Not an 8% chance.
I think it's 8%.
It's 8% to get there by the turn, and then another 8% to get there by the river.
Maybe.
Yeah, see, we're talking about the same thing. But yeah, so there is a slight calculation difference. Oh, you didn't turn off that light. Here, I'll turn it off.
Which light?
You dimmed it.
I did turn it off.
No, you dimmed it. You got it. I have dimmers.
Oh, it came back up.
I mean, maybe it did. Oh, and you know what? We should turn on the lights behind us. But yeah, is it 4x on the river? Yeah, you basically multiply it if you're going all the way to the river by 4. So if you have 13 outs, for example, 13 times 4 means you should have about 52% equity against it. Like, so for example, the flop is 10 jack 4 with 2 spades, and you have like ace queen 3 7 with suited ace high spades with a queen. You know, you should have around 52% equity against top set. That's why some people. And it might be a little bit lower depending on what your opponent's cards are. But if you assume that they have a set, then you should, like, depending on your opponent, you can say the only way this guy does this because he's so tight is if he either has a hand like ace king queen with ace high spades or a hand like jacks. And since I have ace high spades, I know that he has jacks. So therefore, you're calculating 13 outs to 43 cards times 2, if that makes sense. Does that make sense? So I took, believe it or not, University of Notre Dame requires every single one of their graduates, even if they're in the football program or whatever, to get to pass calculus. Meaning, like 99% of the population can't do calculus, is what I've been told.
I never tried.
It's a headache, but I'm pretty decent at math. And you don't have to be perfect in math. Like I've got some students that have come up to me and they said, "Hey, I just want you to know, like, I'm absolutely horrible with math and numbers." And I had this student who I was coaching on just no limit hold'em tournaments, And I said, well, you can be bad at math. All you have to do is calculate by 4 and by 2. And, yeah, they ended up doing a few cashes and things. I think they cashed their first World Series of Poker, like, last year or so. But
give it up to Gary, too, from the Madhouse. He knocked out a couple of tournaments last week in Jacksonville. Good for you, Gary.
Oh, yeah, well, Charles.
Charles.
Charles down in Best Bet Jacksonville.
Sorry, Charles.
Yeah, Yigdri. He ended up getting back-to-back first place, so that was pretty cool.
PLO and Big O, I think, right?
Double board bomb pot, and then I think it was either double board bomb pot and then Big O.
But that's basically just PLO and with a rounded double board bomb pots, like once a round, right? Something like that.
No, it was a whole. It was every pot.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so he ended up taking that down.
He's been practicing at the Madhouse on those, so he knew what to do.
Well, and he was giving us all updates, too, which was really good.
That's awesome.
So, yeah, that was definitely a bonus. So, yeah, I was just seeing if any games were running, because if games do pop off, we'll end up going and playing some poker and do a 4-minute delay. But right now, there is no delay here at all. So if you guys have any questions, there's 6 of you guys watching. So that's a pretty hot run. Like, it's funny. Now, I remember the first time.
Oh, it didn't end there.
Oh, it didn't.
It didn't end there.
Oh,
with the craps, no.
Do tell.
So I'm up about 3,000. Now I'm up about 2,000 on the trip total.
Okay.
I go sit down at it's now like 5 a.m. And at 6 a.m. there's a satellite, maybe 7, I can't remember, but I've been playing all night. I had to go sit and have a buffet an hour before I play this tournament. And it's a satellite for the $1,000 daily, like a $250 buy-in or something along those lines. So, end up going on a sun run for that. It's a single table. Top 2 got a seat. And
a single table $250 buy-in?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's a sit and go then?
Yep.
9 or 10 handed?
Must have been 10.
Might have been, yeah, how many years ago is this? Because believe it or not, kiddos.
20 years ago.
Oh, then it was fucking 10-handed. I'll tell you that right now.
Sure,
like, oh my
sure.
god, all these kids now are used to 8 and 9-handed table. Imagine playing Potlum at Omaha fucking 10-handed.
Oh,
like, that was standard. There would be 4 cards left in the deck when the dealer got to the river, and you could always tell because they would always count them down. 1, 2, 3, 4. Like, all the dealers did it. But yeah, 10 fucking handed. So 10-handed PLO, you have to play way tighter than 9-handed or even 8-handed PLO. But yeah, Pat Walsh, who used to play in the PLO game that I started to cut my teeth in at Ameristar, is probably one of the best PLO cash game players that I've ever ran into, and he still plays there. But yeah, that game used to be crazy. But now he plays there at night, I think. And maybe Lumiere also has a game, or the Horseshoe St. Louis.
Okay.
It used to be called Lumiere, so. Oh, we got some other questions. So, Kurt, I had Queen Jack offsuit in No Limit Hold'em last Saturday, and the flop was the flop was 7-10 King Rainbow. Classic flop. We like that.
Mm-hmm.
I called $75 to see the turn and missed any 9 or ace, so the villain had turned 2 pair and bet enough to put me all in. What up, Nately? Well, so if you calculate your outs on the flop, that's correct. You had 32% equity. That is correct. I folded, and of course the river was a 9. I guess I should have called. Thanks for the live streams. Hey, I appreciate it, Kurt. And here's the thing: you can't be results oriented, though. Just because if you figure you only had 16% equity on the turn, if he goes all in, the way you figure it out is say, how much do I need to call to be profitable here? If he does have a hand like 2 pair. And in order to have 16% equity, he needs to bet 1/7 or 1/8 of the pot, right? Somewhere around there.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, probably 1/5 of the pot because...
With his bet on the flop, though,
yeah.
my recommendation on something like that is you should have jammed on the flop.
It depends on your stack size, because then
I don't think he folds.
Yeah, if it's your stack to pot size ratio, for example,
like it's about a pot size bet there.
Yeah, if you have $200 and you're calling off 75, Like, here's poker theory and poker reality, and this is something I talk with my students quite a bit. Poker theory says you should just go ahead and rip it all in. And 9 times out of 10, poker theory is going to win.
Mm-hmm.
But then there's also poker reality. Maybe you're the type of player where you're like, hey, I have 200 in front of me. That's all I'm limiting myself to. I'm here to want to have a good time and maybe play 3 or 4 hours because I'm a rec player. I just got here fucking 20 minutes ago. Like,
right.
Okay, I'll fold. Pardon me. You know what I mean? So,
Yep.
like, in my situation, I'm probably just going to check jam all in. But, like I said, so there's poker theory and poker reality.
Yep.
And, I have respect for both. Like, I had one of my students, they ended up chopping a double board bomb pot tournament. And they said to me, I hope you're not ashamed of me. And I said, absolutely not. I said, I've chopped plenty of tournaments. I said, but, just keep in mind, I said, I don't do it anymore. I said, but I said, occasionally I will, but it's one of those things where you just, I think learning playing shorthanded, playing three-handed, playing heads up, especially when the jumps are so big, and like how you could make a difference or you reflect on hands, I think that just has so much more value than chopping a tournament where you're making an extra $500. So that's poker theory, and again, poker theory is going to win out 9 times out of 10. But poker reality is holy shit, if I chop, I'm guaranteed extra amount X money, and daddy's got a mortgage or a rent bill to pay and all this other shit, and it really just depends. It's like one of the things I always say is don't ever criticize somebody or ask like a professional poker player like what their bankroll is like. It's one of those things where I told this story a couple times, but I was in the WSOP $1,500 mixed triple draw event where is it Barry Greenstein? Is that his name? Ace on the River guy?
Yep.
And Elke did an interview with him like at the table, and Elke's like, "Oh, what's your bankroll like these days?" And I was like, I just remember thinking, that's got to be like
rude.
The rudest question in the world, because
he should know better.
Yeah, and like Barry, he handled it just like a true champ. He just said, "Well, my whole bankroll's on the table." Like I'm not gonna fucking answer that question. Yeah, but it's like, what? Why would you ask that question? And maybe he was like poking fun at him because I don't know, maybe
it might be an inside joke too, between them, like joke.
But from an outsider, I'm telling you right now, I was like, what the
relationship
fuck?
Where he's messing with them, which is a very big possibility.
You know what? That's probably what it is. Because if it was like you or me, I'd probably fuck around with you a little bit.
Yes.
But I don't think I would ever ask that question. And maybe I don't know. Maybe it was a sting. Maybe it was a burn. Maybe one time Barry said that to Elke, and Elke took offense to it. So he's like, I'm going to
Well, and they both played, I think, Bobby's Room back in the day quite a bit. So they probably were friendly with each other. So it was probably a little inside ribbing, too, there.
Oh, yeah. We're definitely skipping whatever song that was.
Yeah.
Okay, now we got a lot more questions. All right, so that was a quick story on that. Hold on for 1 second. Nate says, what's up?
Hey, Nate. I never got to finish my story.
Oh, wait, what was your story?
So my
the $250
so
sit
now
and go.
I win my sit and go for $1,000.
Okay, we're going to do story and then questions. Go ahead.
I get an hour of sleep after being awake all night.
An hour of sleep?
An hour of sleep. Close my eyes, wake up. I get off to a good start. I remember hitting a gut shot with King Queen on like an ace-10 board, turn jack after like a small C-bet, and just got like big value for like, if we started like with 20,000.
I'm going to turn on the light back there.
I probably added like 10K to my stack or something, okay. Decent amount for early on.
Okay, go on.
I'm playing, we get down to 18 players, we're right on the bubble. I'm chip leading at this point. I get into a hand where I've got ace jack. Flop comes out, ace 3, something like that. Clean turn, clean river, but like, unfortunately the other guy, me and him got it all in, I think, on the flop. We both had an ace. He had ace king though. So I get wrecked. Down to about 2 big blinds. Managed to get a triple up with king 4 of diamonds. I turn the nut flush. I pick up pocket aces. I triple up again. I get pocket
This
king.
is all in a tournament?
This is all in a tournament.
This is the 250 satellite that you won.
No, this is the $1,000.
The $1,000. Okay.
Yep. There's about I can't remember if it was 100 or 200 players in that.
Okay, go on.
But within 20 minutes, I was chip leading again.
And how did you finish that tournament up?
We chopped it 3 ways.
And out of the 3
I got the highest amount. I got, I think, 45,000. It would have been 52 or 55. I think that's what it says on Hinden Mob because I took the win.
Oh yeah.
So I got the trophy because I had the most chips.
That's always a nice thing.
So sometimes chopping's okay.
Sometimes chopping is okay, and I've done it myself.
I think 4th place, if we didn't chop, would have been like 20K.
Yeah,
I've made mistakes in tournaments so bad.
What? You've made a mistake in a tournament? No.
3 months later, after that, I was almost broke after winning all that money.
Oh, such the life of a grinder. All right, we're gonna go to questions.
Okay,
we're gonna go to questions. All right. Kurt says, I see I was shallow stack and had been running bad, so I let my bad emotions control my decisions making and not pure math. Well, sometimes that happens. This is on the Queen Jack hand.
Oh, yeah.
And when I used to play when I didn't vlog, I was quite an asshole at the table. I would try finding out what was the thing that would make somebody tilt, and I would use that against them. I am guilty as fuck as doing that before I was vlogging. Now that I vlog, I don't do any of that because I didn't want to get that reputation for doing that. And now that I realize that... Pardon me.
It's called trolling.
Yeah, in the past, it was a little bit more acceptable. A little bit more table talk and shit like that was a little bit more acceptable. And I guess some of the home games around St. Louis, shout out to all those St. Louis folks that may be watching me, especially when I used to play like Kurt's home game or Sweaty's home game or Kenny's home game. But yeah. You would sit down and you would talk shit to everybody at the table. That was how I grew up playing poker.
Yep.
Like and you would say shit that you would never be caught on camera dead saying.
Right.
But everybody would laugh about it, and it was a camaraderie. That was honestly, those were some fucking killer days. Like just sitting down and talking shit back and forth, and especially it was a 10-20 limit game, and at Kenny's it was a full kill. And then at Kurt's, it was a half kill. And, dude, oh my God. Kurt used to have a list. The game would start at 10 o'clock in the morning, and he'd have a list until like 1 o'clock in the morning. And then finally, when it got down to like 4 or 5 handed, we would switch from 2-card Hold'em to 5-card Omaha high only 10-20 limit. And that's when I was first learning Omaha, and I used to burn chips. All right, let's see what some of these other people are saying. Do you ever fold the nuts because of equity disadvantage to reduce variance? For example, king, deuce. Well, I'm just gonna. I'll read the rest of it, but no.
Wait. I've heard if you're deep enough, there's times where like you should.
No.
There's like no, but you don't have to get it all in, right?
No, it doesn't matter. And I'm gonna give you a few answers why. And this is an amazing, great question. But let's read what your example is, and I'll give you a better example that a friend of ours down in Florida was talking to me about a hand, and I'll go specifics over it. But do you ever fold the nuts because of equity disadvantage? So my answer is always no. And you can call me a bad player, whatever. I've played enough higher stakes games, not like nosebleeds, but I've played enough higher stakes games and medium stakes games that I've seen enough in my professional career that the short answer to that is no, I'm never folding the nuts. But for example, if you have king, deuce, heart, diamond on a king, queen, 7-6, spade, club board, 4 ways everyone's all in the hand for 300, but you have to call off $2,000. Yeah, because if I'm betting $2,000, if I have to call off $2,000, if you run that in an equity calculator, you should have 25% equity against all the 3 other random hands. At least you're probably going to have more than that. You're probably going to have probably around 38 to 40% equity. So, but to give you a better example, I had a guy come up to me and he was like, "What would you do in this situation?" He was playing 25, 25, 50 PLO 5 in down in Miami, Florida, or Hollywood, Florida. And he says he's in the game for, I think he said he was in the game for $20,000, and he has something like $78,000 in front of him. So he's up $57,000. And the flop comes 9. He had 7-10 for the nuts, so 9-8-6 with 2 diamonds. And he goes, the recreational whale and the pro. He goes, the pro pots it, the recreational whale pots it, and he goes, and they have $80,000 enough to cover. And he goes, "What do you think I did?" I said, "You're only telling me this story because you folded." And I said, "I'm going to tell you why that's wrong." I said, "Because I've seen enough things in high stakes that people will have enough equity without having the nuts to put $80,000 in the pot." Okay? And he said, he goes, I ended up folding it, even though I had the nuts, because I didn't want to. I'd already locked up a $50,000 win, and this is poker theory and poker reality, and I actually talked to him about this. I said, poker theory says never fold it. I said, but poker reality is you're locking up a $50,000 win, you just realize you're playing way deeper. And I said, and I hope that you didn't play a single hand after that. And he goes, "No, I didn't." And he goes, when I folded, one guy had like 10 jack queen with a nut flush, and the other guy had a set of 9s, and he goes, and it comes like running deuce 4, and he goes, so it literally, I flopped the nuts, I had to dodge the world, and it would have held, and he's like, and I would have went home like $230,000 winner. He goes, but I was so disgusted because I realized I need to get up. So and this is something I tell my students regardless of what stakes you're at, like even if you're playing like 2-2 PLO and you buy in for like $200 and you're up to $1,000, if that $1,000 is something you're unwilling to put in with the nuts, you need to get up and leave. Because that's too valuable to you. Same thing if you're playing 5-5 and say you've got 15 grand in front of you, which is a huge win in 5-5, and you're like, man, if I have the nuts, if the flop's 10 jack queen rainbow and I have ace king, and I'm not willing to put it all in, I need to fold. I need to pick up my chips and leave. So that answers your question, Meat Man, and I'll die on that sword forever. Very few river cards that I would keep the nuts with. True, but I mean, you can assume king, queen, 7, 6, deuce is probably going to be the nuts. You're actually going to have a lot of 4s and 5, maybe not 5s, but a lot of 4s that are going to be the nuts. And you'd be surprised, like even a jack or a 10 might be the nuts because somebody might be jamming with ace 10. Like you might have 2 people with ace 10. Next thing you know, a 10 comes and no one's got ace jack or 9 jack. I've just seen crazy things in my life that I'm never folding with a set of kings there. Are you going with primary or pastel on the hat? Yes, I am tie-dyeing it. Thank you, Jen. I appreciate that question. I am undecided yet, and I'm open to suggestions. But I tell you what, to tie-dye a wool hat, like normally when you tie-dye, you put things in rubber bands and you squeeze them. Well, this is like a wool hat. You don't exactly squeeze it, so I gotta find a way of like taking syringes or something and inserting the dye and seeing how that works. I hope I don't ruin this hat because I like it quite a bit, but I think it'll be colorful anyways. What do you think?
Yeah, anyway, hope it turns out.
I'm pretty sure it's going to turn out.
Yeah.
It's Tilted Degen, by the way. Hey, what up, Meat Man? Oh, my God.
What's this?
The story I just told is watching the stream right now. Here are your thoughts on that. I've turned many winning sessions into losing ones because of exactly this situation. Well, again, poker theory and poker reality. If you give me the nuts, I'm not folding. I'm going to hate myself if I'm getting free-rolled. And there's been plenty of situations where I have been in getting free-rolled, but there's also been plenty of situations where it holds up. Like, I'm surprised you did that. But again, if the flop's like 10 jack queen and somebody's got like a set of queens with the nut flush draw, and like a royal flush draw or whatever, they're never, they're never going to fold, and they have the right equity to get it all in, even if you have ace king. So why is Siri recording me? That's really weird. Like and subscribe, everybody. I appreciate that. Yeah, don't forget to hit the like button.
Like and subscribe.
Yeah, we got 10 people who are watching, but yeah, we're just here chilling, telling some poker stories. I'm watching to see if any tables popped off, and there was enough people yesterday who said they liked the live stream, where even if there wasn't poker, just shit you were talking about. So these are some of those stories about poker. So what's the strangest thing you've seen at a poker table, Sean? I don't know if he wants to answer this one.
No, I'm at the what's the O'Leary's or no? What's the one? Oh,
D2s?
No, in Vegas, the Orleans.
The Orleans.
So I'm playing.
Oh my God, we have a story about the Orleans as the strangest thing you've seen at a poker table. Now, first of all, full disclosure, the Orleans does not pay me to say this, but I find the Orleans is one of the best poker rooms in Las Vegas.
100%.
They have amazing action there. The players are, and some of them watch me.
They get a variety of games.
They're bad. They're really bad. They've been bad for years, and they're going to stay bad. There's a couple of good ones, but
it's a locals.
They've got great promos. The drinks come by fast. If you go there for a day or two, everybody knows your name. Like, the only thing that sucks about the Orleans is the fucking smoke coming in off of the slot machines, and then you hear the slot machines. I wish they had some kind of barricade for that. But as far as poker rooms, I think the Orleans is, like, honestly, one of the better ones.
I agree.
Yeah. I love the Venetian. The Venetian, I think, is the best one on the Strip for sure.
They have great tournaments during the World Series in the summer.
And it's ran really well. Tommy does an amazing job there. He listens to players' feedback.
Yeah, the games are good.
Yeah. Now, I do get paid by the Venetian to influence, but that's okay. I mean, if I wasn't paid by them anyways, I would still endorse them. Like, even if they fire us at the end of the year or whatever, I'm still going to endorse them because they're that good of a room, honestly.
100%.
And the live stream is really good. I don't know if you guys saw the live stream. All right.
Very good, yeah.
I think do we have more? Okay, yeah, if you're playing with too much in front of you, that you don't want to lose, you need to get up and leave. I mean, that's key right there. Now, I will tell you, one of my biggest early on, I'm going to tell you guys a story, my biggest early on upswings, downswings, and upswings of my early start in my poker career. So, playing at in St. Louis, Harrah's, they used to have 2 casinos because they had a limit that you could only buy in for $500 every 2 hours. This was like a really fucked up Missouri law back in the day. And so they had a split between the two casinos. So they'd have a poker room over here and then no poker room over here. But they did that so that way if you bought 500 and you lost, you'd go across to the other casino and buy another 500 in chips and then go back over. See, there's the loop, there's the hole. There's the fucking Harris Corporation finding the loophole to allow people to gamble more when that's what the legal law says. They just put a fucking wall down the middle of it and get 2 gaming licenses. Whoop-de-doo. The other thing we had to do was pass chips between players in magazines. Oh, well, check out Chapter 3 here, And so in any case, I go to Ameristar to play 1-3 no-limit hold'em. And when I sit down, I say, I'm going to have a 24-hour session no matter what. It's a Friday night. It's 6 o'clock at night. Between 6 o'clock at night on a 1-3 no-limit game and 1 o'clock in the morning, I went from $300 to having $3,300 in front of me. So I'm up $3,000. Fucking just absolutely fucking crushing it. Between 1 o'clock in the morning and 4 o'clock in the morning, I lose that $3,300 plus another $3,500 and a $300 max buy-in 1-3 no-limit game. So now I'm officially stuck $3,500. No, I was stuck $4,500 total. So then I say, you know what? I'm going to go home and I'm going to go take a shower because I told myself I was going to play for 24 hours. And I'm going to take my last $500 out of my bankroll. Now, this is something I don't recommend doing, but sometimes when you're at your wit's end, you're like, this is what I'm going to do, right? Probably playing tired and taking your last $500 out of your bankroll is probably not advised, but I will tell you, sometimes I get really fucking stubborn, and these are true stories from the life of a grinder. So I go home, I take a shower, I pull my last $500 out of my bankroll, and I'm like, all right, Josh, have a little conversation with myself in the mirror. I'm like, it's time to fucking run this up. You've got to fucking just absolutely crush it. You know you're fucking capable of doing that. So I go from Ameristar, and I say, I'm going to go over to Harrah's, because it's now fucking 5 o'clock in the morning, and they have a 2-5 game there instead of a 1-3. So now I'm stepping up in stakes. Again, not recommended. I'm taking the last 500 in my bankroll. Again, not recommended. And I'm throwing it on the fucking table at 5 o'clock in the morning. Again, not recommended. Between 5 o'clock in the morning and 4:30 in the afternoon, out of the 10 players that were there, 7 of us are still there. And the biggest stack has got, everybody has between $3,000 and $6,000 in front of them. This is on a fucking 2-5, $500 max buy-in game. This fucking game was a bet. It was a bet and a raise. It was a 3-bet every time and 4 to 6-way action. You would open. It was a 2-5-30, and then you would 3-bet to about 100, and you'd expect about 4 to 6 people to fucking call. It was just absolutely insane. So I've got $3,000 in front of me, which is my whole bankroll. I get involved in a hand with Pocket Kings, where the river card, I have an overpair, and the river card puts a 4th fucking club out there, and I'll call him a semi-pro. His name was Danny. He was Asian. He was in the military. I can't remember his last name. And he checks the river, and I have the second nuts.
Danny Chang?
It might be Danny Chang. I don't know. But he checks the river, and I have the second nuts. There's like $2,000 in the pot. And I have $2,000 left. And the board was like queen high. And then it just came 4 clubs. And I have Pocket Kings. And he checks the river. And I just look at him. And I get this weird fucking spidey sense that the motherfucker's got ace queen with the ace of clubs. And I fucking checked back. And he turns over the ace queen with the ace of clubs. And he just looks at me and he's like, oh, you're so good. He's like, how do you check there? And I show him, right? I fucking show him. I turn my hand over to show him I'm fucking good enough that I went with my read. And so 2 hands later, no, very next hand, I wake up with a monster, pocket 3s. Now I've got like 1,900 in front of me. It goes, this is Hold'em. There's a raise to like $30, and it goes call. The doc, the plastic surgeon guy behind me calls, and then Danny makes it it was 40. It was 2-5-40, and then Danny makes it 240, and it goes, one person calls ahead of me, and I go, well, you know, $200 to potentially hit something. Let's play. So I call 200, and then the doc calls 200. So it's $240 4 ways. Okay. The flop comes 3-4 queen with 2 clubs, and Danny's first to act because he was on the small blind. The doctor was in the button. I was in the cutoff, and Danny just open jams for $2,000. Like, he just fucking all in. First guy folds. I'm sitting there. It's my whole bankroll. Like, I tanked. I shit you not. There was time I, like, looked up at the sky, like, somebody give me an answer. Yeah, I mean, I fucking tanked for, like, 4 minutes, and I called, and then the guy behind me, the fucking doctor, calls. Insta-calls. He's just like, God. Call. And I'm like, there's no way I'm fucking good. The turn's a 6. The river's a 7.
Oh, God.
Kevin says, I have your hand, Josh, and he turns over Pocket Kings. The doctor turns over ace queen with the ace of clubs. He's like, I just had a top pair with backdoor clubs, and I turn over Pocket 3s and scoop like an $8,000 pot. Right. And that happened at like 5:45, And I looked around the table and I said, well, everybody, I told you I'd be here for till 6 o'clock. I said, so you got 15 more minutes. And, yeah, that was like one of my biggest wins that I had starting off. I mean, but that was my biggest upswing to downswing to, like, just doing everything you're not supposed to do and then fucking having an amazing upswing. Like, that was fucked up. I remember thinking, like, I think I cashed out like 7,600 or 7,400. I lost a couple more hundred, but I remember just thinking to myself, like, I can't fucking believe I did this. Like, I fucking told myself I was going to, you know, and I just fucking put my work boots on and I just fucking did it, you know? And I think you learn a little bit of resilience when shit like that happens. You know, I think that makes you a little bit more hardcore. Like, there's another poker pro that I play with in Vegas quite a bit. He doesn't watch the vlog at all, and I won't mention his name, but, you know, he knows, like, he's an old school grinder, and I'm an old school grinder, so there's, like, things that we relate to. And it's funny because he'll say stuff to Wayne that I'll say to Wayne, and I'll just be like, Wayne, don't forget, he's an old school grinder like me, you know? Right? Like, you and I mean, if we have to, we can fucking, like, if we're in a downswing, we know the fastest way to get out of a downswing sometimes is by grinding, you know? All right, so let's see if we have any other questions. Greetings, humans. Joey Pigtails in the house. Sounds
Joey?
like the home game out here. Yeah. No, it was...
We watched your vlog today.
Yeah, we watched your vlog. You gave a shout-out to Yigdri for Charles. We did back-to-back tournaments.
Yep.
So, I don't know if you sent that to Charles or tagged him. I didn't tag him yet, but I probably should. But... What do you remember having big swings? Because, like, keep in mind, that was all no limit hold'em. So, I mean, like, and here's what's funny is a lot of my swings, like, even in the stream that I was in, I started off down $10,000. A lot of my sessions, if I start off down for whatever reason, I just open up the fuck it card a little bit more, and I'm just like... I don't know. I play a little bit more aggressive, or I play a little bit more
well, you play
defending
a style.
Yeah, and
if you lose a few in a row early on, you're going to be down.
Yeah, you know, one of my a person that I play with once said to Wayne, I think this was Push and Pray. He said, you know, some part of what makes him such a good poker player is sometimes he's willing to degen enough and just be like, yeah, I'm going to keep shoving until something holds up and something wins, and eventually something's going to. And it's like, it sounds kind of crazy, but like there's a method to that madness.
Yep.
So
you're usually not behind on equity that much. Like, it's tough to be that far behind in the yellow pre-flop.
Yeah. I mean, you can't, obviously. You could be crushed. Like, the one hand I got it in, ace 9 10 5. Oh my god, 18% equity, 3 ways. Yeah, that was literally the worst position I could be in. And then I just got dumb lucky.
And then you just got the trip fives and, and then the flush.
Just get the, just flop gin. I mean, that's all you got to do to win in PLO. Just flop gin twice in big pots.
Get it in bad and then get there.
Get it in bad and get there. Thanks, Sean.
Hey, it's allowed. People don't understand that.
I hope I can do well in tournaments during this series. So
I'm really stoked for him.
For the tournaments?
The tournaments, yeah.
Yeah, and I'm pretty stoked for the milestones. You know, the $1,000 milestones.
Are you playing any 10Ks? Or just smaller ones?
I'm gonna play the milestones. I don't know, but I don't know, honestly. I'm not making any plans. Like last year, I made the mistake of selling action, and then I made the mistake of like picking out specific tournaments and then making adjustments from what I picked out. So this year, I'm not planning anything. There's a few that I am planning, like the double board bomb pot tournament that starts on my birthday. I'm planning that.
Yep.
I think the 1500 PLO.
That's a 1500?
Yeah, that's a 1500. The 1500 Big O, I'm playing. I think that's another one. I'm torn whether or not I want to play Omaha Limit 08. you don't find soft spots in that fucking game. Like, everybody plays it. Elia Lesra plays it. Every fucking pro plays it. And I know it's, like, super notorious if you win it, and I just...
I get it.
I mean, Wayne's debating whether or not he wants to play it. I think Wayne might play it.
Which one did Wayne have his big run on? Was that
Raz? Wayne is a Raz fucking expert. I talked to Wayne about Raz quite a bit. Because I like stud. I used to play a really good amount of stud. But yeah, Wade's definitely a Raz expert. So
I played the Raz event one year. I had some extra lamers, and I couldn't afford to play the Hold'em event that was going on that day. So I played the Raz event. I got deep. I didn't really know what I was doing. I just played tight.
So Jeff wants to tell us about a little bit of a bad beat story.
Ooh, let's hear it.
He lost $5K to a rich guy in St. Louis all-in pre who had Queen 9 Deuce 3 Badoogie. Sometimes we call that board coverage. No, it would be 3-6-9 Queen would be board coverage. And said, "You think I care about money?" And then he had Ace Ace King King double suited. I've had Ace Ace King King double suited 3 times in my life. Once was I can't remember. It was during the meetup game, I think. It was recently. But the other, I haven't won a single pot with Ace Ace King King double suited. And I've had it 3 times in my life.
I've never had it.
You've never had it? You just need to play more PLO.
I had Ace Ace Queen Queen double suited. I flop top set with the nut flush draw. Turned the other nut flush draw, but Hassan was in there, and the flop actually came Ace 3-4, and I remember this because Hassan had called pre-flop a 4-bet with King Jack 5 Deuce.
Board coverage. You're covering high and you're covering low.
I didn't get there. Both nut flush draws and the set. I'd got it all in on the turn for like $2,000-$3,000.
So I have a vlog where I played at the Win. I think it was like last December. Or last October, where I get it all in with the same guy twice in a row, and each time the flop is like Ace 3-4 or like Ace Deuce 5, and each time I have a fucking wheel and he has a set of aces, and each time it's in a 3-bet pot. And one hand he goes like running clubs and doesn't realize it, and I'm like, or running straight, and I'm like, no, I'm like, you got a straight. And he's like, why would you point that out? I'm like, you turned your cards over. I'm like, I'm an honest player. And then the second time, he's like, you got Deuce 5 again? I was like, yeah. Then he just, like, paired the turn right away. I was like, God damn it. That was in a vlog that I did back in, like, October. That's my Deuce 5 story. But, see, I used to play Deuce 5 because my buddy Kurt, who passed away in St. Louis, he was the host of the 10-20 home game. His favorite hand was Deuce 5. So, I play it in remembrance of Kurt. Why? That's a bad fucking reason to play it, but whatever. It makes a good story. I don't know. I'm a poker player. Sometimes I'm a DJ just like you guys. Jeff says he was only in the game for 300. Well, see, then you only lost 300 for the session, brother. It was at River City. Dude, they don't have a poker room anymore at River City. I don't think. Don't quote me on that. But I am going to be down in St. Louis probably May 25th. I don't know if I'm going to be there May 26th because we just booked our hotel room for the 27th and 28th. So or we could leave a little early and then just change up our dates. We're going to figure that out. So I no longer repot against heads up against Maniacs. Well, I'm not really sure, Jeff. I could respect that, but it's not the most profitable play. But then again, it depends why you're playing. If you're playing like as a recreational player to have fun and be profitable, you can say, yeah, I know it's not the most profitable, but I can cut my losses or my variance by doing that. I can respect that. I don't agree with it, but I can respect it. I would say just bring it up, buddy, so you can just rebuy and just be like, okay, I'm just gonna keep going up against this Maniac. I mean, I'm always if somebody wants to, get it all in with me when I have 60% equity, I'll be more than happy to do that a bunch of times over and over and over. But again, I can understand, if you're like a rec player, not doing that. And again, that's one of those poker theories versus poker reality things. Maybe I should have a shirt that says poker theory versus poker reality. Ooh, that might be the name of my new podcast or something. Poker theory versus poker reality. What do you guys think about that? It wouldn't be my podcast, though. It'd be mine and Wayne's podcast. I'm going to give that pitch to Wayne if he's not watching right now. He's probably not because he's on an Alaskan cruise.
Oh, yeah? Nice.
Yeah, he was doing sled dog racing or something.
For real?
Oh, yeah. He had a picture of
That's
him
awesome.
with some of the puppies and stuff.
Oh, that's
They
cool.
just had a couple of litters. I was like, that's cool. Like, my wife's in Arizona, and here I'm just chillaxing with you guys. It's so nice, though. Like, to be able to take a little bit of a break before the series. Like, because I know it's just going to be hardcore, dude. And it's one of those things, like, the first week, I mean...
We skipped the shrooms.
Yeah, we skipped the shrooms today, but this is like the song you want to sing to the WSOP, Like you and me used to be together every day, baby.
Always.
Oh, yeah. Oh, my God. Yeah, this is what happens that you sing it, maybe at the end of the World Series, or you sing it in the middle, depending on how bad it's been for you. Right? Like... Bro, last year, Wade and I couldn't wait to get the fuck out of Vegas. We were both stuck. I was stuck 35K. I don't even know how much he was stuck. We were so burnt out. He ate some edibles. I smoked a big fat doobie. We're sitting on the couch watching Harold and Kumar go to White Castle.
Is this to drink?
That's to drink, yes. And we were talking about going to Sacramento. And I'm not going to get into reasons why, but... He looks at me, and he goes, you want to go to Sacramento? And I said, right now? He goes, yeah. I said, yeah, give me an hour. Now, one thing I love about my work wife, Wayne, is he packs. Takes him like 3 hours to pack, so. But I was ready in like 20 minutes. I was so burnt out. I was like, fuck yeah, let's go. But, it was funny because we were in Sacramento for, whatever time. It was just a couple hours, and then we drove right back. But, it was amazing to share that experience with him because only a true friend would do that for a true friend, So even though I lost $35,000 last series, I definitely gained a friend for life. Like that's something that I'll remember till the day I die, and I honestly think that's worth more than the 35 grand. Honestly, like I don't know. I enjoy really great memories of people. Like when I think about my brother who passed, I think about good memories with him, not the shitty ones. Because I got to read his diary afterwards. Jesus Christ, he was a little crazy.
I could only imagine.
Yeah, and he had some dark shit in there, but
I've
whatever.
met him a couple of times.
Demo says, "Oh, that's a good name for a podcast. I like it, Meat Man. Yeah, poker theory versus poker reality. I mean, I think it's great. Was fun having a drink with you at the Hard Rock. When will you be back in Florida?" Demo, I fucking love the Hard Rock. I mean, the action there is great. The tournaments are great. And I will tell you, the action at the... What was the one room that had PLO 5? There's another place in Hollywood where they have PLO 5, 125, and it's like a jam fest. It's amazing. But the tournaments at the Hollywood Hard Rock are phenomenal. But... They do have a series coming up in July. Wayne was like, hey, do we want to go to Hollywood Hard Rock in July? And my response was, no, because being in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan in July and August is kind of ideal.
Yeah, right.
Like, I want to be fishing on a boat for July. I don't want to do anything in July. Like, I want to be on the water every damn day in July. I know I got to go downstate at one point in July. And then for August, again, it's just good up here. But, we do like coming down. We did talk about coming down in November. So we might be down there in November. But Florida is one of those places where we have a circle around it because every time we go to Florida, and I don't know if he won last time, but every time I go to Florida, I have a win. Like I end up winning 10 to 20K every time I'm in Florida. So it's like I need to go to Florida all the fucking time. My wife and I are looking for a winter house right now, and Florida is in the mix. It's like Florida, Kentucky, Texas, and Nevada. Those are like the 4 places. We're in the process of selling 2 of our rentals here. And then we're going to buy like a house that's going to be an Airbnb and a retreat and, shit like that. A studio too. But we're looking at Florida being one of those places. I'd really like to get something in Hollywood, but it's like $500,000 for a really fucking tiny place in Hollywood, But I don't know. I have to figure out how much they make in Airbnbs because I don't finance anything. I buy cash. I'm not headed back until November. Notice they have 4 series and 3 are in snowbird season. I do. I like that. Gonna lease a place in October. See you in the fall. All right. I like Pembroke Pines, Florida. Yeah, my wife and I did put a bid on a house in Florida, but it was near Ocala, which is where my parents live. But I've played at the racetrack there a couple of times in Ocala, and I also know they have like a 5, 10, 25 Big O private game that I got invited to. I think that goes on Tuesday nights or something like that. I imagine that they would be okay with me playing that. Seeing that even though I might win a little bit, I do give action, and I'm enjoyable to play with, and I'll make bluffs and I'll make reads, and I mean, you got to mix it up a little bit. Like, that's one of the things, like, and I'm not criticizing anybody, but I played with Andrew Nemi at one of his meetup games that he had at the Golden Nugget, and I was in one of his vlogs for like 30 seconds or something, which was bad because I had like long, scraggly hair. I looked like a bum. In any case, I have long, scraggly hair now, but it was different back then. But he played incredibly tight. I just remember thinking to myself, I would never want this guy in my home game because he just plays way too tight, and I've played with Ben Deach because I watched some of these guys, and he played really tight. I played with him at a 2-5 table at the Win, and I'm just like, and they're doing their job. I mean, they're showing you how to be a profitable player, but. Yep. Which is great, right? And so shout out to them. I'm not like criticizing them at all, especially since they have a fuck ton more subscribers than I do. So what the fuck do I know? But I'm just saying that when I played with them, it wasn't very entertaining. Where, one of the biggest compliments I get is the thing I love about you, Josh, is if you lose a $5,000 pot, you'll just giggle and say chips. Like, and because you can't really do anything else. Like, you really can't. Like, that's all you can do is just say chips and just be like, yeah, all right, whatever, I made a bad read or I got dumb lucky or whatever the case may be. Found it was $1K a week Airbnb near Hard Rock. Yeah, it depends on how big of a place that you're looking for. Usually we try getting a place that will house anywhere between 4 and 8 dudes, and then we split it up for like 1 to 2 weeks. So it becomes a little bit more, but then it becomes cheaper than that when we do that. So, and usually we get better amenities, like we get a jacuzzi or a pool or something like that. Yep. But yeah, Orange City is where it's at. Does make sense just to spend 2.5K per month, rent versus buy. Yeah. Very easy to just be nice to get invites of South Florida. Nice, rich people. Make them laugh. You think Texas will stay legal? It's like the early 2000s down there, the Wild West poker. Do you think Texas, it's going to stay legal? This is an excellent question, Jeff. I like this question.
I think it will. They might. I don't know. It's hard to say. I don't know if they're going to open a lot of new poker rooms, but I think the ones that are there are there to stay.
So here's what I look at. The Dallas Mavericks were purchased by a family that owns casinos, right? That family is going to say to the Texas legislature or to the governor of Texas, you need to make casinos legal here or we're going to move the Dallas Mavericks to Las Vegas. And then the governor and the legislator is going to have a shitfest field day, because then they're going to be like, what do we do? They're going to do a bunch of polls to find out, does the general public want a casino? And then they're going to deal with the issue of poker rooms. What are they going to do with poker rooms? They might grandfather poker rooms in and then make any other poker rooms opening illegal. So that way, if you have a poker room open, you're grandfathered in. Or maybe they do something where they're like, you get so many permits for poker rooms per so many thousand population. Like, those are the things that would make sense. And believe it or not, you're asking somebody who has a degree in government and international studies from the University of Notre Dame. So when it comes to like what the legislature could do, I've worked on a few campaigns and stuff back in the day when I was a student. Yeah, but that's what they could do. But I think what's going to happen is the Dallas Mavericks are going to make their play. The owners of the Dallas Mavericks are going to make their play to the state legislature and the governor within the next couple of years, and they're going to say, hey, now I know there's the Texas State Supreme Court just agreed to hear an argument about poker rooms, but somebody told me that will take 2 to 3 years before it gets heard. So I think the Dallas Mavericks owners are going to make that play prior to that happening. This is just my opinion. I don't know any of this being factual. These are things that I've heard, just disclaimer in case somebody wants to sue me or anything. But this is, I don't know. This is a fucking interesting topic. And you're like asking somebody who was in Dallas recently in February, and there was a lot of discussion about this at the poker tables.
Yeah.
And when somebody said that the Dallas Mavericks was recently purchased by a family that owns casinos, I'm like, oh my god, the fucking play is to move the Dallas Mavericks to the fucking Las Vegas. You have the Las Vegas Mavericks.
Will hurt poker, though.
Yeah, I mean, casinos will, they will hurt poker. So like, and so, but I mean, I don't know. I think they're gonna figure it out in 3 years, within the next 3 years. But I think it's really
be popular, but that's it.
Yeah, well, and the problem with the home games in Texas, and slap me silly, I've been invited to quite a few of them, and I know that they have a lot of amenities that many players like to partake in.
What kind of amenities?
Just whatever you want to think about, and but the rake on these home games are somewhere in the neighborhood of like 4 green chips, and it's just like that for I mean. I don't know. I haven't been to one that had rake that high, but that was a rumor. And I know, I remember somebody was telling me in one of the Georgia games, the rake went from 1 green chip to 2 green chips because they had to, extra security or something. And I was like, well, did you see the extra security? And they're like, no. All right. Well, he just probably saw. But you know what? I will tell you, when you're playing a high stakes game like that, it's reasonable to take those higher rakes because you do need a level of security.
I don't know how much this is true, but them taking 10% of the entire pot.
Yeah, well, that's
no matter no cap.
Yeah, that's in Greece and stuff. But I was at a Detroit game, a Detroit home game, that the rake was around $50. It was a red chip game. It was a really, really good action game. We played. My buddy Mark and I played there for a few hours. Mark lost his whole bankroll, so I think we were there for 3.5 hours. But when we left that game, I said to Mark, I said, oh yeah, the pizza's right here. I said to Mark, I said, I think those guys were legit, either KGB guys or Secret Service of a different nation of some sort. I said, I just got those vibes. My father was in the military. He was in the military intelligence, and you get kind of that. I've seen this type of behavior, and maybe they're just playing their A game in poker. Maybe I'm just really bad at reading people. I don't know. But I remember afterwards, I said to Mark, I said, First of all, I said that was one of the most secure games I've ever been in front of. Like, I showed up an hour early. I asked him if I could walk the security perimeter, go over all the security measures. The dude showed me everything. And I felt more safe there than I would in a casino. Like, honest to goodness. Like, because, even if you're playing at a made guy's game, no one's going to fucking rob it. And I've played at friendly games like that where you just know no one's gonna fuck with you. You're like, like win, lose, or draw. No one's gonna fuck with you. You don't have to worry about it. And I've also been embarrassed in front of those games, but that was long story due to my passed away brother that I won't say anything about him. But it was in a weird situation.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like I went to go. Sell a few watches, and all the watches were gone. My brother stole them all.
Oh my God.
And I'm sitting in front of this fucking... I'm sitting in front of this guy who's, a friend of ours, and I'm just fucking sweating. I'm like, what the fuck? I look like a complete moron in front of this guy.
Right.
I lived in Italy for 4 years when my father was base commander, so... yeah, I've been around those guys. You know what I mean? So it was like I was so fucking embarrassed. Yeah. So, but good poker stories. And then I found $20. So we got 12 people watching right now. We appreciate all of you guys.
How many?
12 people.
Nice.
And they've been staying pretty consistent. I didn't even see if we got a game going at all. No game going. There's a couple people sitting, but nothing started yet. The home games, let's see. Yeah, good points. I could see that scenario playing out about Texas poker. Yeah, and that's just, I don't know. That's like, if I'm looking at it from the person who bought the Mavericks perspective, why did you buy the Mavericks if you own casinos? I mean, obviously it's a good investment, obviously, but you can use your leverage in casinos to be like, hey, we want sports betting to be legal in Texas. We want to open up casinos in Texas. Otherwise, we're going to take your lovable Mavericks to Las Vegas. And I think Las Vegas is going to open them up with welcome arms. Like, I would. Why not?
100%.
I mean, if you've looked at some of the travel recently to Las Vegas has actually declined, is what I was seeing in some of those vlogs.
I saw that too, yeah.
Yeah, so Jen says she lives there in Texas. The genie's out of the bottle. It'll either be casinos or keep the poker games. Yeah, well, I think you have to grandfather them in because the poker rooms have so many people employed. Like, you're literally just going to put like 10,000 people out of on unemployment right away. That really... That doesn't go well for voters, like from a political perspective. Like, let's just close these people down and fire them, And then the people who invested money in the business and the buildings and the construction and the everything, you're really like tearing that many more lives apart. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see how it plays out.
Yep.
But it's definitely going to linger there for a little while in Texas.
Linger.
It's going to linger. And you might just be like, does this have to linger so long? But it's going to have to.
It's going to have to let it linger just like that,
That's pretty much it.
Yep.
Yeah. So what other questions do you guys have? So that was my biggest up and down. I'm going to have a slice of this pizza and let Shawn tell you what his biggest up and down was. When he gets ready. Do you remember what your biggest up and down swing session was?
Not really. I mean, for cash game, I bought him for 500 during the pandemic. We had a game going, and John Q, the most degen.
Might have to talk up.
John Q, the most degen poker player I've ever played against, had won like 14,000 the night before playing blackjack. So we walked into the game with 14K. Literally fanned it out. I never had to send another text to anybody else in the game because all the other players were like, get your ass to this game, it's a good one. So we end up playing for hours and hours and hours. I ran it up to 8,500, so I'm up $8,000 in this game. John is into this game for $8,000, but has 8,000 in front of him. So he's back to even. There's three or four people.
Can you feel it coming? It's coming.
This is a 1-2 game. Like a fun,
You have 4,000 big blinds in front of you.
You know, Will. He shows up.
I don't know if we should be naming names, but go on.
He got so mad at me because after 20 hours, I had to call it quits. I was so tired, and I said, I am not playing a 16,000 big blind pot with fucking John, because it could easily happen, or 8,000 big blind pot, whatever that is. I said, it's not happening. Will got mad a little bit, but I get it. He was down about 7,000.
Yeah, I mean, Will wants an opportunity to come back.
Yeah, right?
I mean, I would want a fucking opportunity. I'd be a little pissed, too. I'd be like, bitch, you're the host.
Right.
You're not supposed to call it quits. Oh, you drank,
we
you got the
played
rest of the Coke.
Oh, here, I haven't taken a sip yet.
Go on. Like, what the fuck, dude? You're the host. Did you...
I had to leave. But I
yeah.
did eventually. It seemed... They played for another hour.
So I used to deal a home game in St. Louis. We dubbed it the Mexican Nelly game. The Mexicans ran the game, and then Nelly, as in, it's getting hot in here, so take off all your clothes, would come to the game a lot. And I remember one time I had to give half my tips back to the house. But this was a 2-5 minimum $1,000 buy-in, max buy-in, whatever you wanted to. Kyle, who got second in a WSOP ring event, main event, got like $42,000, showed up and put all $42K in front of him, and then proceeded to lose a $24,000 pot. And which I'll never forget. The board was Ace Queen 9 with 2 clubs, and Kyle had Ace Queen, and the doctor, he was super tight, but he was more tight on his tips than anything. This guy would never, ever, ever, ever tip. Like, ever. They get it all in. They have, like, the doctor has, like, $12,500 in front of him. This isn't a 2-5 game. $25,000 pot. And the doctor's got pocket 9s against Kyle's Ace Queen. And it goes brick. You know, they just run it once, brick. I push the pot to the dock, tap the table, nice hand, grab the cards, shuffle, deal. After about 4 hands of dealing, Chewy, who is one of the bookies there, he looks over at him, he says, are you going to fucking tip this motherfucker or what? And, like, the doctor reluctantly grabs a green chip, and Chewy looks at him and is like, you better tip him more than a fucking green chip. And then he, like, reaches over for a black chip and, like, you know, regretfully fucking tosses me $100 tip, you know? I'm like, fuck that, dude. I mean, don't get me wrong, I appreciated it, but, like, yeah, literally, and I didn't say anything. Like, I just kept dealing. I was like, you could hear the fucking tension get cut, because it was a pretty big fucking pot, right. You know? Like, we were used to pushing $5,000, $6,000, $7,000, occasional $10,000 pots, but this was a fucking $25K pot. You know, like, right out of the shoe. Like, fucking Kyle sat down, and it was, like, 4 hands. He's like, I'm all in, you know? Brought a big fucking mason jar full of weed. And Kyle still plays professionally in St. Louis. Let's see. Oh, yeah, if Texas takes away poker, there's going to be mutiny. I mean, like I said, you have so many employees that I don't think you can just ban that industry, but you can grandfather them in and say you can't open up any more new ones. Like, I
don't foresee it happening anytime soon.
Yeah, and that would be like a good compromise. Like, if you have a license, or you can have so many poker licenses, you know, per capita, and then they could even like make them charge a little bit of a tax, like, oh, because you're dealing not necessarily in the gambling industry, because poker has been deemed a skill sport, but since you're dealing with where people can have big wins or big losses, maybe they do. We give you an extra 1% tax. I think that's kind of fucked up because it kind of discourages it, but, you know, I will tell you that the people who own property or businesses next to like the lodge, even though the lodge is a great place to play, I don't have nothing against them, but I know sometimes they complain about the poker players from the lodge because they're parked there all day long. So maybe Texas can actually like make a law that, you know, if you're taking up so many parking spaces, you know, maybe you build like a parking garage to house, you know, per tables or something. I don't know. But I think getting rid of it would be absolutely terrible. That would be absolutely horrible. The governor and attorney general are 100% vehemently opposed to casinos and weed. If Mrs. Adelstein can sway the governor, then more power to her. Well, I mean, when you threaten to take away the Mavericks, that's a lot. Like, we're going to take away a professional sports team, and I'm telling you, that's what I believe that's what she's going to do.
Oh, is that who owns the Mavericks now?
Yeah, is Mrs. Adelstein.
Oh, I thought that, I didn't realize that fight is still going on with him dead.
3 hours down. Have we been streaming for 3 hours?
Uh-uh.
No way. There's no fucking way. Oh, 3 doors down. I was like, what the hell? I'm like, there's no way we've been streaming for 3 hours.
Maybe.
Like, I thought it's been like an hour.
An hour.
Yeah, it's been like an hour, right? Oh, hour and 20 minutes. Okay. Yeah. Paloma or Salty Dog? Yeah. Salty Dog. I think, right? That would be the right one.
What's that?
She's saying, what drinks should she have? Paloma or Salty Dog? Get a Salty Dog.
Oh, yeah, I don't know what those drinks are. I never had them.
It's been a while.
Yeah, and I used to be a bartender.
Yeah.
Nobody ever ordered that one.
And yeah, I am a bit stoned. So is Shawn. It's allowed. It's legal where we're doing this from. So we're just 2 adults enjoying adult beverages and adult cannabis. We're not driving anywhere. And we're just having a chat. So you end up winning $8,000 in this 1-2 game, and you call it a night.
Yep.
Then what happened? Did you lose it back, or you just stuck the win as the host and said, fuck you guys? Wow, what a great host.
20 hours is enough.
So you just stuck the win?
I played until, we started at noon and it went until 7 o'clock the next morning. Is when I left. And then it went for another hour or 2, hour and a half, something like that. I don't know. I wasn't there.
What's the most you ever lost in a session? Or in a day? Because I know in a day you can have 2 to 3 sessions. Or 4 if they're really short.
Maybe 5,000. Nothing huge. The one that was most embarrassing was me. I won a seat for the main event, and I had all this extra money, so I had an extra 5,000 in cash. I went and played blackjack, and I lost 5,000 in like less than an hour. That was my most degen moment.
Oh,
Just kept chasing.
wow, that's that's a bad beat story. I mean, in a way, you win your main event seat. Did you end up cashing in the main event or no?
I did not.
Did you get to day 2?
No.
Yeah. Kind of like how I played the 10K Big O. I lasted 6 hours. I don't think I ever said fuck that many times in a video in my life. But it was like the first 12 things I said. Speaking of videos, that last video that I put out, I didn't do any title and any music. And everybody watched it for more time than they normally do. So I think the next video I do, I'm just going to dive right into it just like that.
Yeah.
And I might have some, like if I'm talking to the camera, I might have like the title go while I'm talking to the camera. I guess. I don't know. Yeah. Well, I think that's about it. Do you have anything else to add, Shawn?
I do not.
Yeah. So I hope you guys are enjoying this. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe. And we're going to get to 10K subs here pretty soon. Maybe if I make a deep run or 2 or 4 or 7 during the series, who knows?
I'm getting a bracelet, so I know that much.
Well, Shawn, I would put my money that Shawn would get a bracelet too. I think
I have a chance.
I'm almost I'd put a hefty wager that you're definitely getting it. I don't know. You're probably getting one before Wayne and I. We talked about this the other day. I think you're most likely to. I think Wayne's second. I would put myself at third. And then, yeah.
I think we're all capable of it, though.
Yeah, well, I mean, a blind squirrel finds a nut, at least once in a while, right? I mean, I'm definitely capable of shipping a tournament. It happens, but...
Yeah.
No, I think, honestly, I've learned a lot from just this past year, I mean, since the series last year, I got a second in a mixed triple draw. I got a third in a PLO4. I got a second in a mixed triple draw, and then I got a first in a double board bomb pot. I didn't play any tournaments last month. Or maybe I did. I don't remember if I did. But, I don't know. I feel like I've been doing better. Like, being able to maneuver, particularly like in the triple draw ones. Like, if the ones that I have circled are probably double board, Big O. There's a $600 PLO4 deep stack that is so fun to play.
Yeah.
It's kind of turbo-y, but it is so fun to play. Everybody's drinking while they're playing it. I'm definitely playing that. And it's a $600 PLO4 deep stack. You start off with 30K in chips.
That's at the series?
Yeah, that's at the series. And then there's I think a $2,500 mixed triple draw. I'm probably playing that.
I want to maybe play that $1,000 bounty.
The Hold'em one?
The mystery bounty, yeah.
Yeah, with a $1 million guarantee. Last year they added an extra $1 million prize mystery bounty pool to it. I was like, oh my god, had I known that, I probably would have, tried to do that with No Limit Hold'em just because the EV is so much positive there.
Oh, hell yeah.
So, I totally tip shame players. Alright. Well, apparently Rupert agrees with that statement. But, yeah, so it's interesting. Like I said, I last year, even though I knew I was going to be in Vegas for so long, I wasn't looking forward to it. I was more dreading it. This year, I'm like, I need to take all my R&R, my rest and recognizance before the series, so that way I'm prepped and I'm primed for the series. I know during the series this sounds crazy, but I usually lose about 20 fucking pounds during the series.
Right.
Every year. And I don't know if it's because I'm stressed out or what, or, I don't eat, especially if I get deep in any kind of tournament. I start fasting, so that way I can continue focusing. So maybe I'll change a few things up. What's funny is most of the tournaments I've ran super deep on or have won, I've been absolutely exhausted in. So I mentioned that to Wayne, and I think he even said he was playing a tournament where he was super exhausted, and I was like, dude, some of my biggest wins or deepest runs in tournaments was I was just deadbeat tired. Like, for whatever reason, being deadbeat tired that day, you just focus a hell of a lot more. For maybe my body reacts weirdly like that, but I don't know. I did make some mistakes towards the end, obviously, but I did the best that I could do. And that's really all you can ask for, especially, you get deep into a tournament. I mean, the one triple draw in December, I was down to a half of a big blind, three-handed, and ended up getting second place. And the guy that was the chip leader, he had like 60% of the chips or 70% of the chips. When I had a half of a big blind, ended up getting third. And Wayne was there, and Wayne was like, and you could tell that dude was super pissed. He, when he got beat, I think I even knocked him out. He fucking threw his cards down and stomped off the stage, and I don't blame him. I'd be pissed too.
Yep.
In his shoes, like he just really the card gods just said we're gonna change everything on you.
Yep.
You know, so sometimes you have that in tournaments, man. Have you ever had something like that happen where you just go from like hardly any chips at all to like just a holy shit fuck ton of chips?
Yeah. A few times.
Yeah, super late in a tournament. Oh, Shawn here fell asleep during a tournament, go figure, because he was smoking doobies. He fell asleep with how many players? I'm just going to let you tell this story. This is the life of a DJ grinder shit, and you probably fell asleep because he was smoking a doobie.
So I fell asleep.
You got to speak up again.
I fell asleep shortly after the Money Bubble. It was like a Poker Bros tournament. $200 buy-in maybe, I don't know. It was $16,000 up top. I ended up falling asleep for over an hour. I was chip leader. I woke up.
You were chip leader with about how many people left?
That was with like 80 left at the time. Then I woke up when there was like 30 left with about 5 bigs. Ended up somehow sun running a bit and came back to win it. Got lucky. I remember I picked up pocket aces, got a double up. It was just everything went right. And I had a nice nap, so I was fresher than everybody else.
So you end up getting first in this tournament?
I did, yeah. It was 16,000 on that one, yeah.
That's some serious DJ shit.
Right.
So Rod tipped us $5. First of all, Rod, we really appreciate that. Did not expect that, but definitely appreciate it.
Thanks, Rod.
And he said, am I gonna play any series at the Orleans or Golden Nugget this year? You know, Wayne and I, one of the things we discussed specifically, because it is tournament season all summer,
Yep.
is looking at what's going to offer like the most positive EV feedback on that day. This is assuming we're not in a day 2.
Yep.
And we are going to look because you have to figure all of the pros are going to be at the bracelet events.
Correct.
All of the pros are going to be at the bracelet events. And you are going to get some pros at some of the other events like the Golden Nugget or the Orleans. But you're not going to get nearly as many. You're going to get way more rec players, and you're also going to get way more locals. To answer your question, yes. I will be playing at the Orleans. I will be playing at the Golden Nugget. When I wake up on a given day, if it's not a bracelet event that I'm like super pumped about playing, and I'm going to be selective on what I think is going to generate the most positive EV for me that day. If I'm not in a day 2, I'm going to look at the Orleans, and I'm going to look at the Golden Nugget, and I'm going to look at the Venetian. And I'll look at the Win as well. I don't really like the ones that... I can't even remember if Bellagio runs any of them. And I don't really like the MGM ones. Just my own personal preference. And the Aria ones I just try to avoid. I'm a little bit biased against the Aria. It's been my experience that I've had angle shooters in the poker room get caught angle shooting, and then they don't do anything to kick them out or anything, and they're like, "What can we do?" I
always thought Aria was the hardest poker room in Vegas.
I mean, yeah, the
2-5 game was always like, it felt like a lot of very well studied, just knew their spots, and it sucked.
Yeah, even the 5-5-10 PLO that I've played there before, it was like they were GTO 3-betting a lot, which, I mean, even they do that at the Win, but the Win you definitely got way more splashy players for whatever reason, and surprisingly they'd be like European splashy players. They weren't like European nits. I found that the European nits would go play 5-5-10 at the Area, where the European splashy players would play 5-5-10 at the Win.
Yep.
And, so yeah, but now, like with the Venetian, you know, we've been finding very splashy Asian players as well as European players play at the Venetian, you know, and as well as, of course, all races and everything. But you know, you find splashy players everywhere. But like,
you want your piece from before?
Yeah, I'll take it if you want to set it on this plate here. But yeah. So I prefer going to games that are good, and for tournaments, because we are in tournament series, I'm gonna look at tournaments that are good. The other thing is if there's a cash game that looks good, I might skip the tournament. Like if I see that, for example, a 5, 10, 25 Big O is still going at 9 o'clock in the morning, and it was running last night at the Venetian.
Superman's still in it.
Well, whatever. I mean, he's not a slouch.
I know.
But no, depending on who the players are, I might go play that game. So I am going to make my rounds a little bit at the different places. I'm not just going to be stuck chasing bracelets. I think I over-focused on that last year, and I didn't look at, like, what I thought would be. I convinced myself the most positive EV thing I could do was to make a deep run in a tournament for the vlog. And now I realize that's actually not the most positive EV thing to do. Like, even if I want a bracelet, like, Wayne and I have discussed that. Like, what would it get us? Like, an extra, like, 3,000 to 5,000 subs? Probably. If it got us, like, 10K subs, great. But, like,
20K if you bring the dogs with.
I mean, maybe. But, so I think the better thing to do is to continue along the path of what's going to generate me the most amount of money, because as a grinder, you have to say, I can't drop 35 grand every fucking series chasing bracelets,
Bank one of these 25K for first tournaments, that's a nice.
Yeah,
that's a nice win to the bankroll for the summer. You can
I would end up having an Airbnb in both Nevada and probably in Florida.
Right.
I would take some of that to the bankroll, but I'd probably just end up buying 2 Airbnbs, where I like to travel a lot. So that would be really nice if I could do that. So yeah, that's my plans. REO PLO is Knit City. Yeah, like I said, I played the REO Parliament Omaha like $600 or $800 tournament there a few years ago, and we got down to like 36 players, and I think it paid like 32 players, and the same guy would tank pre-flop and PLO for like an abnormal amount of time, 30 to 40 seconds, and then fold. And then he's like, I wish they would just... And then somebody at the table made a comment like, I wish they would just start a time clock when you're down to like... instead, they paid out like 12.5% of the field. When you're down to 15% of the field, just start doing hand for hand. Because it prevents people from doing that. Because it's an angle shoot. And like, after he did it like the 6th or the 7th time, like the whole table's like staring at him. And he's like, I know everybody knows what I'm doing. He's like, but it's what I'm supposed to do. And... two things goes through my mind. The guy has a really good point. Yes, he's a European net, but is he angle shooting? I guess. I mean, but he plays poker for a living, and that right there is like part of like trying to earn money for a living. He was short stacked, but it's like it's not something I'm going to do. I don't need to do that in order to make a living playing poker. He may need to do that to make a living playing poker, and even though I don't like it, I can at least respect it. I don't appreciate it, but I understand. Like, people are going to do what they're going to do. Like, I had one guy at the fucking Golden Nugget. We're playing 1-2 no limit. I bought in for like 300. I have like 1,500 in front of me. This one guy and I are like measuring dicks. And next thing you know, him and I both have like 3,500 in front of us because at the Golden Nugget they don't have a max buy-in. And
cash plays.
And cash plays. Well, so this one guy who is an obvious record. We got Starlinked. Hopefully we're back on. It looks like we're back on. Okay. But in any case, one of the things. Sorry about that. That was Starlink. But yeah, so at the Golden Nugget, the illumination isn't the greatest, and purple chips look very similar to red chips, right? So this guy sits down in seat 1, and when he sits down in seat 1, he's got a stack of like what appears to be red chips, and he's like shuffling his chips in his hand, and he's just like completely randomly shuffling his chips in his hand, you know. There we go. Let's go to here. And the guy in seat like 7 is like, oh, they're getting involved in a pre-flop hand, and he's like, oh, how much do you have? Because the guy in seat 1 ended up just putting his whole stack out there, right? Like he raised to like $24 or like $33, maybe it was like $35, and he put out what looked like $100 in red out there, when in fact there was 2 purples in there, and then the rest were red. So it's $1,000 raise over a $35 raise, and the guy has like $1,500. And as a professional poker player, I immediately noticed the fucking angle, and because that's something I don't respect whatsoever, I said, just so you know, I said, there's fucking purple in his stack. And then the dealer looks down and goes, oh, there is. And I said, yeah, dealer. I said, you also need to announce when purple's in play. You need to announce that when people sit down. Boy, was I pissed. And I was pissed at the player who sat down who was doing the angle shoot. But yeah, when that guy was like, wait a second, he's got like $1,000, he was like, yeah. He folded his cards, and this is one of the biggest fucking reasons why you don't angle shoot. The guy got up and racked his chips up right away. And I said, I don't blame you, sir. I said, I'd do the same thing. And then I racked up my fucking chips and walked away. I was just like, fuck you guys, you know? What a great way. Like, I had $3,500 in front of me. I think I was in the game for like $1,300 or something. So I was up like $2,000. But like, I was there to fucking like pound and let's go to town. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And, yeah, no, I retold the story from Starlink. So hopefully it got back. He said it's cutting in and out. But yeah, the guy ended up having 2 purple chips. Maybe I'll turn this down a hair. Make it a little bit more background music. But no, the guy ended up having 2 purple chips and a stack of red. I got invited to play 4-8 mixed at Resorts World. I'll be starting lineup. It's a bunch of crazy mixed games. Nice. Yeah, no, 4-8 mix. You guys do it on Sundays, Tuesdays, and Thursdays, I think, at the Resorts World. Yeah, and it goes up on Poker Atlas, too, which is pretty cool.
I've never played at Resorts World. I've heard it's the nicest room in Vegas.
Yeah, there's some
debate on that, I'm sure, but
I can't remember what I can't remember what the concern was with Resorts World recently. I know it was not about
tournaments.
Was it tournaments? What was going on with the
Bad
tournaments?
dealers.
Oh yeah, I think Mike Holtz is the one that pointed that out.
Who did?
Mike Holtz.
Yes.
Yeah, he ended up pointing that out, that there was like you know, and for
some on Twitter, yep.
yeah, and for him to say that. Let me mute the Muse thing to make sure that the audio is fixed.
I've really been enjoying the Poker News podcast lately.
Yeah, the Poker News podcast lately has been pretty good. Let me make sure this
with
Resorts World recently. Oh, there we go.
Chad, Mike, and Kaina are all. I like all 3 of them together.
Yeah, I mean the nice thing is you're getting information from players and reporters that, you know, they do have their opinion, but they don't hold back, which is nice. I mean, that's like, I guess that's what I've been accused of a lot. But,
well, good for them for getting that story on Tom Dwan, because a lot of people were really concerned about him.
Yeah.
So it sounds like he's doing better.
Well, and my brother who passed dealt with mental illness. He had bipolar. So there's plenty of times where I went to the 5th floor to go visit him.
Yeah.
And that was something we talked about. And, you know, maybe it's one of the reasons why, like, I recently had a situation where I had to drive somebody 12 hours or 10 hours in my vehicle who was a little mentally unstable. And I don't know if he was mentally unstable, but you know, nice guy.
High potential for it.
Well, just nice guy, but like, you know, just wanted to get home, and I helped him get home, and I drove him. And very interesting conversations. Like, I will tell you that's one thing I'll probably remember for the rest of my life is the conversations I had with this guy. It was great though. I liked it. I rather enjoyed it. It kept me up. He was able to we were able to have disagreements on topics. Like we would play devil's advocate with each other on different things, and it was really interesting. So like, it was one of those things when I was driving 8 or 9 hours down. Like, just at first, I'm like, why am I doing this? And I'm like, I know I'm a nice guy, but why the hell am I doing this? And for you guys, if you're curious, he was squatting in one of my houses and just said he wanted to go home. So I said, I'll just drive you home. That's the Reader's Digest version of it.
Right.
And 8 hours later, I'm in Indiana, dropping him off at 2:30 in the morning, and had an interesting conversation with him. Like I said, I'll remember it for the rest of my life. And then I drove back, no sleep. Whew, I was so tired when I got home.
Didn't stop you from going to Rivers.
I stopped at Rivers real quick. I sat down at the PLO table and I said, "Hey boys, I'm going to dump and run." And they were like, "What?" And I, sure enough, dumped $1,000 and then headed home right after that.
Oh,
I was like,
okay.
Yeah. So I lost $1,000 and then called it a day, and then drove home. So, but yeah. The limit mix games are fun to play. I used to play. There's one at Hawaiian Gardens in California that was a 612. You'd play with $3 chips, and I think it was a full kill. That was one of the most fun things to play. Was that 612 mix? I actually preferred playing that over the 1-2 no limit at the time.
Yeah.
But I think we're all done with the stream for today. We're kind of running out of things to talk about. Plus, I'm going to eat the rest of this pizza, and it looks like we might get a game going. So if we do get a game going, I'll go ahead and do that with a 4-minute delay. So I think that's about it. I appreciate you guys tuning in, and as always, everybody, play smart. Try not coughing up a lung.